Yo yo yo! Welcome back to another video. We're on the right track because good things are gonna happen. Today we're talking about the importance of setting your goals and how to set them and what they should be like. One very simple thing: your goals are not supposed to be attainable. They're supposed to be so huge and so impossibly hard to get that they seem like they're impossible. They're supposed to completely crush you with fear anytime you think about accomplishing it. You know? Maybe you don't have anything right now, and so you set yourself a goal to make 100,000 per month passive income, and also that you're gonna live in a completely different country and you're gonna have a mansion then and in another the country, and that you're gonna travel and whatever, you know, or that you're gonna become a scientist, or you're gonna become an astronaut, or whatever it may be, you know. Your goals are not supposed to seem realistic to you. They're supposed to be so out there that they seem like they're completely impossible to get. However, you have to ask yourself and answer this one question: if you could be anywhere, doing absolutely anything, and there'd be absolutely no restrictions, and you could have absolutely infinite amount of resources, where would you be, what would you be doing, and possibly with whom? That, my friend, is your goal. That is your intention that you should set yourself and that you should work towards. It is important to give yourself direction. For me, it just so happened I had two things. I divided it into two categories: physical and spiritual. In spiritual, I wanted to help people. That was my first step. So I deducted that in order to help people, I need to become enlightened. Next step was, if I enlightened, things changed in my mind, I realized that I needed to establish connection with God. Establish the connection, realized I need to unify, and I need to unify with God. Next step. With physical, I had another dream that I'm working towards, that I'm still pursuing, but I'm closer to it than ever before. I'm putting in the solid work to attain it. Your dreams don't need to be possible. They don't need to seem possible. I thought enlightenment was absolutely impossible task. But when I started, I didn't know that it was so hard. I didn't know how much effort and work is required to attain it. But it didn't stop me. It just meant I needed to put in the work. That's it. That's what I wanted. So I went and I get it. And I went and I achieved it. Your true desire, what you really want, is what will keep your passion burning. It's what's going to motivate you. It's what's going to get you out of bed. And it should be absolutely a tremendous, great goal. Huge, huge endeavor that's going to take you many years to accomplish. Hopefully. Because there is a problem with not having a direction. When you do not have a direction in your life, suffering will get to you if you haven't achieved certain spiritual level. Because the moment you sit down, you're going to become neurotic and you're going to be judging yourself and punishing yourself and doing all sorts of weird things, you know. You won't be able to, you're not built to be in a present moment as you are if you're suffering. And so you gotta have a direction, because the direction is what's going to make your suffering bearable, because you're giving yourself meaning in life, basically. Because as one of the existentialists said, you are condemned to be free. Do you know what that means? It means no matter where you are right now, no matter what you're doing at the present moment, you can just stop. Because you have free will, and whatever allegations, whatever attachments, whatever responsibilities you may perceive that you have, you can just drop them all and walk out. And yeah, there might be consequences to some degree, but you'd be surprised how many consequences you're just making up in your head, and how many of these things will actually not ever happen. And all the things you think you have to do, you don't actually have to do. You're just telling yourself you have to do. You're forcing yourself to do. You're playing the victim game. You are choosing. So at least admit to the fact that you are choosing to take those responsibilities on yourself. Setting your goals is what's going to give you a direction. It's going to clear away the space of I don't know what is good and I don't know what is evil. Because that only happens when you don't have a path. That only happens when you don't know where you're going. If you're going to become an NBA player, playing football all day and all night is not going to help you get there. You know? So immediately you know that if you set yourself a goal to be an NBA player, you should be playing basketball. You should be training, you should be practicing your shooting. You should be playing as many games as possible, joining a team. These are the things that you need to be doing. But that only becomes clear when you decide to be an NBA player. Before that, playing football was alright, playing basketball was okay, playing any computer game was also fine. This is why it is important that you voluntarily limit your possibilities, so that in the process you can shape yourself into something. Because when you are everything, because right now if you're just suffering in life and you've got nothing, that means you have potential, and there's a potential self that exists within the future that you could manifest. But it can only manifest itself if you choose, I'm going to use that word very often, if you choose to limit yourself so that you can become that thing. You cannot be everything. You cannot be a plumber, electrician, an NBA player, a football player, an actor, and a celebrity, and doctor, and whatever. You can't be all of these things. You gotta pick. You gotta pick what drives you, what motivates you. And it starts with that one question that I stated at the very beginning. What, if you could be anywhere and doing anything, without any limitations whatsoever, where would you be? What would you be doing? Make it grand as possible. And then, this is the next step. Because once you establish the direction, once you set the intention that this is what I want, I highly encourage you first establish yourself with God. The intention to walk with God is a great intention, and I strongly recommend it, because anything you build without God, you're going to have to undo it if you will ever choose to walk with God or ever choose to be with God. Once you set the intention, there's the next step. But you cannot think about the next step until you first set that intention. Once you know your intention, once you wrote it down, go ahead, write it down, write it in as much detail as possible, try and feel the emotions, what that burning passion, what's going to make you driven for life. Write it all down, pause the video, give you a moment, pause it right now. Once you have it done, come back here, and there's the next step. And do not listen to this if you have not done the first step. Turn off the video, I don't care. Go and do the first step, set your intention, and then come back and listen to this. Right? This is very, very important. Alright? You've done it? Right. Perfect. Great. Look at it. And let me tell you, most likely this is going to change. The intention you set yourself is going to change with time, along the way. Because right now, you're basing it the best you can with the knowledge and experiences that you have. And most likely, as you change, as your character changes, because you go off on an adventure to become that thing, you start to refine it more and more. So don't worry about that. It's a nice thing. It's a good thing because it enables you to reach higher, better states that you were not aware of before. Because maybe making 1,000 a week was the top of your dreams, the highest of most high that you could have imagined at the moment, you know? But then you attain it and you're like, oh, it wasn't that hard, so maybe I can actually attain higher, you know? And you go, oh, maybe I'll go for 10,000, 100,000, a million, you know? But you gotta, once you set the intention, you gotta ask yourself, and you need to write all of this down. Without writing it down, none of this makes sense, because unless you anchor it in physicality, within the mind is just a bubble that's going to be there for a few seconds and then it's going to vanish. You have to anchor it with action. That's why you write it. What step, what actual physical action can I take right now in order to get closer to my goal? And you gotta listen. You gotta listen to your mind. You gotta listen to what they tell you. And you gotta start making that. If you're stuck at the bottom, you're somewhere borderline depression or in depression, it's gonna be very, very trivial looking things. But never, absolutely never underestimate the power of the little things. The little things are what made up the huge things. There are no huge things. You cannot perform huge things. Huge things are made up of hundreds or thousands or even millions of tiny steps. A journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. And that's all you ever do. You take one step. You take one step, then one step, then one step, and then one step. And you repeat that over and 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 over again until you reach those miles. But you do not take a mile at a time. You take one step at a time. And it is important that you humble yourself and do not discard the things that appear in your mind. The more you discard it, the more you judge it, the worse it is going to be for you. And the more you're going to drive yourself into depression. It is vitally important. You do not understand the importance of the little things. How important it is to clean yourself daily. How important it is to look after yourself for yourself. To clean your surroundings. To beautify your surroundings. To set things right in your immediate surroundings. to say things in the right way, at the right time, to think the right thoughts. These things may seem trivial, because why does the rotten food in my fridge have anything to do with me wanting to be an astronaut? It does. It has great importance, because what you put in your mouth is what's going to create this temple. Your diet is greatly important. The way you approach things is greatly important. The little things that you do in your everyday life is what's going to create you. It's going to build this beautiful temple of yours. But you have to look after it to the best of your ability. You have to perceive yourself as someone who is valuable, as someone that you truly want to look after. If you had someone you loved, would you want them to live in a dump? Most likely not. You'd want them to live in a lovely house or a mansion or somewhere that suits them. If you cared for someone, would you want their health to be in a tragic state and their physical condition to be awful? No. You'd want to play games with them. You want to play basketball, football, hide and seek, whatever it may be. You want them to be physically fit. Do you want them to have the mental fortitude to stand against the brutal realities and the truths of life? Of course you do. You don't want them to keel over and die at the first moment someone says no to them. You want them to be strong. You want them to be mentally tough. So you gotta ask yourself, take yourself into third person perspective and imagine this is someone that is not you and someone that you greatly truly love and you want only the best for, and they're the same gender as you. And what is it that you would wish them for? What would constitute greatness in their life, in your eyes? And that gives you another answer. That gives you the answer to the first question as well. That's another way of getting to that point. What is it that I want? Well, if you don't know, go and try a bunch of shit. And you'll realize very quickly that there are a lot of things that you don't like. And when you narrow it down, eventually you're going to find a few things that you do like, and these are the things that you should be pursuing. And if you're already living on your own, you've got the additional burden of having to provide for yourself whilst trying all these things. So the longer you wait with this, the harder it's going to get, because time is running out. You'll have a physical body, which means you're going to die around the age of 80, roughly speaking. And depending on what you choose, it can be way earlier or way later. But that's the rough estimate. And you should be setting yourself time frames. By this age, I want this. Or before this age, I will not do this. You gotta be smart about all of this. You gotta sit down and actually think about this, plan it. Cut away all the distractions for an hour or two and sit down and actually think about this stuff. Just you and a piece of paper, jot down a few questions for yourself. What sort of emotions do I want in life? What sort of actions create those emotions for me in my life? What is it that I aspire to be? If I could be anyone, who would I be and why? It's easy. Set yourself a direction, and then the suffering that you're feeling is going to instantly become far more manageable and far less painful. Because you voluntarily picked up a meaning for yourself. If you don't have a meaning, you're going down the path of destruction. You're going to build resentment, you're going to build hatred within you. You're going to go down the path of nihilism first, thinking that it's almighty and great, and then you're gonna go down into the what I call the negative aspects of nihilism, where eventually you're gonna see only suffering and there's gonna be only destruction for you. And you're gonna pick it voluntarily eventually, because you're gonna be suffering so much and you're gonna not be able to stand it, and you're gonna want the entire world to feel it just as badly as you do. It's a dangerous path. Don't walk that path. You will hurt yourself and everything that you ever loved and cared for. But there's always a light in the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and you can reach the end of the tunnel. And I believe in you. This is why I am making these videos, because I believe, I truly believe in my heart that every single person has the power and the capability to change their life. This is why I'm here. Because I was there and I was suffering and I was causing others to suffer. And I took pride in causing the suffering. And I want to help those who have chosen that they want to give up the suffering. So I believe in you. You can make the change, but you gotta start off small. Make the grand plan and allow yourself to be humble enough to take up the meaningful tiny things. And they take time. They really take time. You're gonna be doing the same things over and over again, day in, day out. Washing the same dishes, washing the same clothes, cleaning the same room, grooming yourself, taking the same shower over and over and over again. Going to be doing your meditations, your exercises, day in, day out. Gonna be tedious at times, you know? And you're not gonna see any progress at the beginning, because it takes time. I always set myself minimum half a year. When I was doing all my stuff to climb out, I've noticed the pattern of half a year. Any new habit that I picked up, it took half a year for the habit to start paying off. And any habit I stopped, you reap the benefits for another half a year and then you drop. That's what happens. So do not be fooled that once you attain a certain level or once you establish a certain level, you've got it and you no longer need to put in the work. You put in the work for the rest of your life, because there are always greater heights to be climbed, greater possibilities to be achieved, greater ways of expansion of the self in different aspects of life. And you can do all of it, but you gotta pick your battles. You gotta be smart about it. One step at a time only. Do not try to do everything at once. Just do one step at a time. Blessings be upon you, my dear friends. And I hope to see you soon again for another video. Consider subscribing. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me how many pages have you written for your goal. Leave a like. Let the message spread so more people can benefit from it. I'll see you in the next video, my friend. Till next time.